Salut, numéro 2 de À part ça. Après le pilote canadien Jacques Villeneuve, voici David Bowie, la rockstar aux multiples facettes que je vais recevoir ici à Soho. Après avoir regardé le portrait qui lui est consacré avec la griffe d'Antoine Decaune, un portrait réalisé par Éric Dahan et Pascal Duchesne.
Manipulateur d'images avant-gardistes, extraterrestre androgyne, acteur du rock au regard paralysé par une dispute dans la cour du lycée et génie de la culture pop, David Bowie est né David Robert Jones le 8 janvier 1947 à Brixton, une banlieue prolétaire de l'ouest de Londres, encore fumante des bombardements de la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Son père, Heywood Jones, est directeur d'un orphelinat et sa mère est ouvreuse de cinéma. Enfant de cœur, sage et discipliné, rien chez le jeune David Jones n'annonce encore Ziggy Stardust, ce fameux personnage de science-fiction bisexuel qui enflammera l'Angleterre des années 70 et la libido de Michel Denisot. David a un demi-frère aîné, Terry, qui exerce sur lui une fascination absolue. Terry qui va montrer la voie de la déviance à David, ce vent de liberté qui souffle de l'autre côté de l'Atlantique dans les pages des poètes beatniks comme Allen Ginsberg et Jack Kerouac, et dans le saxophone enfiévré de John Coltrane ou Eric Dolphy. Excepté le fait que la vraie passion du jeune Bowie, c'est néanmoins le rock et le rhythm and blues. Si on tient vraiment à trouver un père spirituel à David Bowie, il faut citer Little Richard, première influence majeure dont le sens de l'outrage inouï va bouleverser tous les repères du beau David. Passé le choc des premiers Beatles et Stones, l'Angleterre des années 60 vibre pour les mods en scooter et parka et pour des groupes comme les Who, les M de Van Morrison ou les Yardbirds. Les groupes du jeune Bowie, les Conrads, les King Bees, The Buzz ou The Lower Third partagent parfois la scène de ces légendes du rock, mais rien n'y fait. Il manque ce petit plus qui fait toute la différence et que Bowie trouvera chez Lindsay Kemp, un fameux mime homosexuel anglais, pardonnez le pléonasme, qui va l'introduire, si je puis dire, à l'univers trouble de Jean Cocteau, Artaud, Oscar Wilde et Jean Genet, et l'aider ainsi à se créer une image underground.
Well, I think we're all fairly tolerant, but for the last 2 years we've had comments like darling and can I carry a handbag thrown at us, and I think it's just had to stop now. Mountains of laughter are feeling the rain.
Fasciné par le bouddhisme, Bowie vit la fin des années 60 et le mouvement hippie bien loin de Carnaby Street, dans un monastère, tout en chantant une façon de folk de cabaret autant inspirée de la légende du musical Anthony Newley que des Américains Dylan ou Paul Simon. Son premier coup de génie, ce sera alors d'écrire Space Oddity, chanson inspirée par le film 2001 l'Odyssée de l'espace, dont la sortie coïncidera avec les premiers pas d'Armstrong sur la Lune.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. 10, ground control to Major Tom. 8, 7, 6, commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2, check ignition and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade.
first time I ever saw David Bowie perform was right here at the Roundhouse in North London in the summer of 1970. At that time, Bowie was in transition. He wasn't quite sure who he was. He started the set as a sort of hippie folk singer with a harmonica holder, and he played Van Morrison's song, Madam George, about the transvestite. And of course he played Space Oddity. And then suddenly everything changed because he brought out his backing group, which was then called The Hype, with Mick Ronson on guitar, and Mick had black hair at the time, and Tony Visconti was playing bass, and it was like heavy, heavy rock and roll, the kind of music you find on the Man Who Sold the World album. And Richard had left after Space Oddity because that's really all he wanted to hear.
Au début des années 70, David Bowie a plus que jamais les yeux tournés vers l'Amérique, dont les deux rockers hors la loi se nomment Lou Reed, chantre noir du New York Travelo et junkie d'Andy Warhol, et Iggy Pop, le Terminator punk de Détroit.
I met David Bowie in Max's Kansas City in about 1970. In New York, and that was when it was still a bar and a restaurant, hamburger restaurant, really. It wasn't, there was no music played there or anything, and he was dressing a lot like a woman, very long hair, but basically you talked to him and it was a rock guy with a good brain.
Les rivaux, Mark Bolan, le chanteur du groupe T-Rex, Elton John ou Brian Ferry et son Roxy Music étant bien installés, Bowie va se souvenir de son héros Vince Taylor et sous l'influence du film Orange Mécanique et de sa femme Angie qui vient de lui donner un fils baptisé Zoe, inventer le personnage mutant de Ziggy Stardust, prophète décadent qui va redonner foi à l'Angleterre endeuillée par la séparation des Beatles.
Guitar, jamming good with Weird and Gilly and the spiders from Mars. When he played that left hand, but he made it too far. Became the special man, and then we were Ziggy's band.
Why are you so upset?
He's smashing. I kissed him. I kissed his hand. I kissed his hand. I kissed his hand. I kissed him. I went, oh, it's lovely. Darling, I say good luck.
Oh, you look beautiful, darling. I love that.
Merci. You guys, you're very nice, and I just came to say hello. Bon, je reviendrai. I did. It's all right.
It is interesting. This is the best one you've done, if that makes sense.
Well, it's because I'm watching you see? I'm learning from you.
Do you like the lines around the lips? No, I don't like, and she knows that. But I like the idea of the blue lines with the pink lipstick. That's quite good.
You see how they pick on me and just, make me feel terrible?
Well, you're just a girl. What do you know about makeup?
Exactly. That's what I say all the time. Makeup for a night out in the town with the boys.
Go on, Stark.
All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
So where were the spiders while the light tried to break our bones?
In the summer of '72, I met David Bowie for the first time in this hotel. I also met Ziggy Stardust for the first time. Bowie was effectively unveiling the Ziggy persona to the world's press right here, even though he'd done a famous interview with Melody Maker earlier in the year where he talked about being bisexual.
Il faut quand même parler de la Madame Bowie précédente, qui s'appelait Angie, qui était une femme quand même assez redoutable, parce que très énervée et très présente, qui m'offrait des chemises de nuit et des nuisettes en satin de Janet Rager. Je disais, mais qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Elle me dit, mais non, il faut que tu les mettes. David aime beaucoup ça. Ça, c'est sa couleur préférée. Alors je disais, mais attends, où je suis là? C'est sa femme, c'est Madame Bowie qui m'achète mes chemises de nuit pour exciter son mari.
But the film is a sad thing for she's lived it 10 times or more. She could spit in the eyes of fools if they ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those gay men go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the low man beating up the wrong guy. Oh man, wonder if you'll ever know.
At that point, Bowie also played me a tape of Mott the Hoople's version of Sweet Jane with a guide vocal on it by Lou Reed. And as if by magic, as soon as the song finished, Lou Reed walked into the room with black glitter fingernails and kissed Bowie on the lips.
Superstar du jour au lendemain, Bowie va inviter dans sa cour tout ce qui grouille d'interlopes sur Terre, en commençant par produire avec son alter ego et guitare héros Mick Ronson l'album Transformer, qui fera de Lou Reed la sensation de l'année grâce au tube Walk on the Wild Side.
Got your eyebrows along the way, shaved her legs, and then he was a she that said, hey, babe, take a walk on the wild side.
My real memory of it would be when we started working on the Transformer album, and also sitting in, doing guest appearance with David in one of his shows, and it was really David and Ronson, Mick Ronson, God bless him. And the thing I remember most clearly is I could not understand a word that Mick Ronson said because he's from Hull, and I never did understand one word Mick Ronson said. It was absolutely impossible to understand. But David is pretty smart, so he used to translate, literally. I'd say, what did Ronson just say? He said, oh, he just said, it was David's idea, the sax solo. Because on my own, I probably wouldn't have done it, maybe. But I wouldn't have done the strings, that's for sure. So. But that's the fun of a collaboration, people bringing things in. And David was really into the costumes and everything. What I thought was really odd for me is, he would wear all of this to the studio to produce the record. So he was Ziggy Stardust kind of 24 hours a day then. And we really got along and had a lot of fun doing it. It was good to go into the studio with somebody fresh, young and fresh. And at that particular time, a lot of things were coming out of English studios. And I think the general perception of the times was that the English engineers and studios were doing better at contemporary sounds than it was in America at the time. I was a big fan of his lyrics, like the Bowie Brothers. I always thought the Bowie Brothers was great, And then he's got a great pop sensibility, but, pop that's hip. I don't even know if people use the word hip anymore.
I said, hey, girl, take a walk on the wild side.
Lou Reed a ce côté sympathique aussi de la personne qui s'autodétruit, et Bowie certainement pas. Je crois que c'est tout le contraire. Il sait très bien se construire.
In the back room, she's everybody's darling, but she never once lost her head. Even when she was given head, she said, "Hey boy, take a walk on the wild side."
From early 72 through the middle of 1973, David Bowie's stage show was pretty much the most spectacular you could see in Britain. But the show that will always be remembered is the one that he performed here at what used to be Hammersmith Odeon in mid-1973 of the Ziggy Stardust performances, and that he was going to essentially retire that show from live performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, straight from his fantastically successful world tour, including the United States of America, Japan, now his home country, for the last time, David Bowie!
Everybody, This has been one of the greatest tours of our life. We really... of all the shows on this tour, this particular show will remain with us the longest because not only is it the last show of the tour, but it's the last show that we'll ever do. Thank you. Oh no, love, you're not alone. You're watching yourself, but you're so unfair. You got your head all tangled up, but if I can only make you care. Oh no, love, you're not alone. No matter what or who you've been, no matter when or where you see, all the knives seem to lacerate your brain. I've had my share, now I'll help you with the pain. You're not alone.
À la partie qui suit le concert au Café Royal, Bowie enterre Ziggy, mais croit toujours au rock et produit aussitôt après Raw Power le chef-d'œuvre d'Iggy Pop.
Artistically, it was years, many years ahead of anything, because although they would have preferred that I do something more polite and artistic, through them I was able to get loose, and basically they supported this group of lunatics in London.
En hommage au Swinging London, Bowie enregistre alors Pin-Ups, album de reprise extraordinaire, et se produit une dernière fois pour la télévision dans le 1980 Floor Show.
Il m'a demandé de participer à ce show. Alors j'ai dit, mon Dieu, mais qu'est-ce que je vais faire? Alors il a dit, on va faire un espèce d'échiquier géant. Moi, je serai tout en blanc, je serai le roi blanc, et toi, tu seras la reine noire. Donc, on m'avait confectionné une robe invraisemblable, toute noire. J'avais une perruque longue jusque par terre. Et tout ça était très exagéré. Donc, il y avait aussi Angie Bowie qui était dans le show. Il y avait Marianne Faithfull, à un moment, qui était en bonne sœur. Je crois qu'ils ont repris ensemble I Got You, Babe, de Sonny and Cher.
Babe, I got you, babe. They say our love won't pay the rent before it turns our money's always spent.
I guess that's so, we don't have a lot, but at least I'm sure of all the things we've got.
We thought he was sexy, you know, we all wanted to go to bed with him, and that was everything back then. If you were a rock and roll singer and you were sexy and girls wanted to go to bed with you, you probably could be a star. We believed that he could be a star in America, a major star in America. And the moment was right, and we encouraged him.
Diamond Dogs by Bowie.
Je crois qu'il avait vu une épreuve de Rock Dreams qui n'était pas encore sortie, je crois, à l'époque, chez Mick Jagger. Et donc, ayant vu ça, enfin bon, il a demandé à ce que je fasse la pochette. Et puis, à l'époque, je ne voulais pas parce que j'avais promis à Jagger de n'en faire qu'une pour It's Only Rock and Roll. Comme ça traînait du côté de Jagger, je dis tiens, encore une rockstar qui a trouvé encore une autre idée le lendemain. Puis donc j'étais parti sur celle de Bowie. Je sais pas, j'étais à Londres pour une expo. Il m'a invité à un petit déjeuner, puis on a écouté la musique, et puis il me dit tiens, est-ce que vous avez une heure de libre? Parce que j'ai une séance de photos et c'est vous qui la faites. Alors j'ai dit bon. Alors on était au studio et puis on a loué des lévriers. L'idée était de faire mi-chien, oui, l'idée était de faire mi-chien, mi-homme.
He wallows in abominations, unspeakable rights, disease, demon lovers, ancient ruined cities under a purple sky and the smell of unknown excrements.
This is the way I do cut-ups. I don't know if it's like the way Brian Geisen does his or
Burroughs does his, I don't know. But this is the way I do. And a lot of the things that I'd done, it seemed that it would predict things about the future or tell me a lot about the past. It's really quite an astonishing thing. I suppose it's a very Western tarot. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what happens.
I'm an alligator. Oh, mama, papa, calling for you. How was the space invader? I'll be a rock and rollin' bitch for you. Keep your mouth shut. Just walking like a big monkey. I'm busting up my brains like the weapons. Keep your electric eye on me, baby, 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 baby. Put your leg onto my head. Rest your space stays close to my love, 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 love. Beat cow and a foolish daydream. Oh yeah.
I never wanted to be a rock and roll star. I never, honest God, I wasn't even there.
Né d'une tentative d'adaptation du 1984 de Orwell à Broadway, l'ambitieuse tournée Diamond Dogs de David Bowie sillonne les États-Unis en 1974 et propose sa vision d'une société déliquescente à travers de saisissants tableaux, dont une récréation de Hamlet Rock qui inspirera Johnny et fera date. Bowie, saturé de cocaïne, n'est plus que le reflet extravagant d'une société à la dérive, et lentement il sombre dans la folie, persuadé d'être le jeu de forces paranormales.
There's a fly floating around in my milk, and there's a foreign body in it, you see, and he's getting a lot of milk. It's kind of how I feel.
Bowie a un pouvoir, et il le sait, celui de muter en permanence pour être toujours à l'avant-garde du cool. Et dans l'Amérique des années 70, être cool, c'est être noir.
Life was so unkind, but you're the key to my peace of mind. 'Cause you make me feel, you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman. When my show
Time, giving it,
keeping it
right. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, next one. Got to do it this way to get it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get you when you're down.
Nobody doing it. Get it up.
Sometime. Okay, that's good. Right. Okay, and last section.
Give me, yeah,
give me.
Doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, and others. I am honored to have been selected to perform this particular task. I gave it a Grammy enthusiasm, in fact. My personal award is having the opportunity to salute ces premières femmes noires. Those of us that benefit from the sweet things found within their intimate world a message and a language of love. This year's winner, Miss Aretha Franklin.
En En 75, un an avant la fièvre du samedi soir, David Bowie est le premier artiste blanc à être numéro 1 dans les hit-parades noirs, grâce à Young Americans, chef-d'œuvre de soul propulsé par le tube Fame, coécrit avec John Lennon.
I got to know David through Mick, really, although I'd met him once before. And next minute he says, "Hello, John, I'm doing Cross the Universe. Do you want to come on down?" So I said, "All right, you know, I live here." I popped down and I played rhythm. And then he had this lick, you know, we'd finished Across the Universe, and this guitarist had a lick, so we sort of wrote this song, you know, it was no big deal. We just sort of, oh, boom, 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 you know, like that. It wasn't like sitting down to write a song, so we made this lick into a song is what happened. And that's how it happened, and there it is.
En 76, réfugié à Hollywood, Bowie est devenu l'alien de l'homme qui venait d'ailleurs et s'offre désormais sur scène en Caligari sous un mur de néon blanc inspiré par le cinéma expressionniste allemand, tout en préparant la mutation Cold Wave de son inséparable Iggy Pop.
I'm touring, but I'm coming back to England in May to play shows and look at you and look at England.
Well, you know,
and be there, be English.
Again?
Well, as always, but English in England.
Alors que gronde la déferlante punk, Bowie fait un retour scandaleux au pays après 3 ans d'absence en multipliant les déclarations fascisantes et en faisant le salut nazi à ses fans venus l'accueillir à la gare. La critique préfère oublier ses provocations d'un autre âge pour louer la modernité extraordinaire du funk blanc que Bowie...
I was in hospital and he happened to be in the same hospital for another reason. And he came up one day stoned out of his brain in his little spacesuit with Dean Stockwell, the actor. And they were like, "We want to see Jimmy, let us in," you know, and there was a strict rule, you never let outsiders in. It was an insane asylum. You don't let people in the ward, but the doctors were starstruck because Americans, you know, oh, you're on TV, you know, it's a rock star. So they let him in, and the first thing they did was, "Hey, want some blow?" You know, they tried to give me drugs. So I was like, no, I think I took a little, which is really unpleasant in there. Basically, it was just staying in touch. To work with as a producer, the pain in the ass, megalomaniacal loco, but who had good ideas. And the best example I can give you is I was working on a lyric once. The song was "Fun Time," and I had a good idea for the song, and he's the kind of guy who would stop you and say, "Okay, the words are good, but don't sing it like a rock guy, sing it like Mae West," which is, you know, very, it's informed of another genre. It's informed of cinema, and it's also a little bit gay, that suggestion. And that suggestion worked, and the vocal got more menacing because of that. So he'd think like that, and that was very good. He has a work pattern that recurs again and again, in which if he has an idea about an area of work he wants to enter, as a first or second step, he'll use side projects or work for other people to gain experience and get a little taste of the water before he goes in.
To present to you this golden record for your tremendous LP, Low. Well, let's take it this way.
I want to look at it.
Oh, you want to look at it, all right.
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay, within 2 weeks, your new LP, Heroes, reached gold in Holland. So here's another one. What do you say about that, man?
Right, you out.
Geef eens een applausje. Ja. Dit was volledig opgenomen.
Well, the last time you saw me or were with me, it was in Los Angeles, wasn't it? One of the worst periods, I think, in my life, I think. I got into a lot of emotional and spiritual trouble there. And so I decided to split and discover new ways of relating to the music business, per se. I wasn't sure exactly what I was in it for anymore.
I was a character when I performed the other albums, Aladdin Sane, Ziggy Stardust, stuff like that. And I carried the character through into interviews, into newspapers, on stage, off stage. Whenever there was media around, I had to keep those characters concrete because it was important, because the fabric of my work is using my body, my personality, as well as my songs and stage performance. The idea was to, rather like a canvas. But now I've finished with those particular situations, the hardware of science fiction in the beginning, the rockets and the moon and the aliens and whatever. And then there was the period where I was relating to technology upon society, as in the Diamond Dogs, through to just before the Station to Station period, ending up with the Plastic Soul character for Young Americans. Then the Station to Station was a plea to get back to Europe. I mean, I had it in America, I was going crazy. So I came back to Europe and decided that I needed to discover for myself a new form of musical language before I continued writing anymore. So the last two albums, Low and Heroes, aren't so much situations, but a process of discovery, searching for a new language, artistic language, so that I can go further. And that's what Eno and myself and Fripp have been up to.
I didn't know when I would do it and what I would do, but I remember at the time thinking, I can do something with this. And then somewhat later, I got the idea of doing these big symphonic pieces, and I went right back to those pieces. I went back to listen to them again to see if I still liked them, and I did. The strongest thing for me is he works in a very free form, in a very open way. He works sometimes in a layered way, doing layers. Now this is something which is more typical of popular music than classical music, but the idea of building pieces up layer by layer by layer, something that we do in the recording studio. And David has a very advanced technique of doing that. He really understands how to do that extremely well, and so that he can build a piece in that way.
It's time to say, I'll be the same. We've lost our good old mama and must have little girl. Oh, you know why, you know why, you know why.
Just a gigolo everywhere I go. People know the part I'm playing, paid for every dance, selling each romance.
De citations de Nietzsche sur le thème du surhomme en reprise de Kurt Weill, Bowie ne cesse d'être fasciné par l'Allemagne, ce qu'il prouve une fois de plus en jouant dans Just a Gigolo avec Marlène Dietrich, présenté à Cannes en 1979, et en interprétant le rôle titre dans une adaptation télé du Bal de Bertolt Brecht. Mais, paria irréductible, il reste sur la scène de New York où il joue Elephant Man.
When the end comes, I know he'll say just a gigolo, and life goes on without me.
This is Johanna. They brought her along at last. Hello, Johanna.
I can't stay long. I just wanted to have a look at you. You won't talk to me about anything else.
Tell me, how old are you?
She's 15 in June.
Home. Oh, no, I mean, really say it. I have a home. This is my... Come on. I have a home. This is my home. This is my home. I have a home.
Rings
of vulnerability that I didn't see in the previous actor. You know, it comes across in his body and also his face. His terrific delivery, too. It's amazing.
It's a side of him I wasn't acquainted with, and I'm impressed.
You can visualize what this man really looked like, and it's an exceptional performance.
Réfugié dans les studios de cinéma.
Forever and ever.
Remarqué par Nagisa Oshima, le réalisateur de l'Empire des Sens, dans une pub pour du gin, David Bowie décroche le rôle du prisonnier de guerre dans Furio, qui fera sensation à Cannes en 1983.
Crystal. June Rock, Japan.
Lorsqu'il est venu à Montreux, il voulait échapper, disons, à la scène londonienne. Il voulait échapper un peu de tout ce développement, un peu de création débridée, folle, où beaucoup de choses négatives étaient liées à ça. Il voulait surtout protéger son fils. C'était donc ça l'idée de venir en Suisse. C'est quand même un pays qui est connu comme étant très sûr, avec de très bonnes écoles. Et puis, il a également découvert, disons, le ski, qu'il ne pratiquait pas jusqu'avant. Il est devenu un passionné de ski.
À Montreux, Bowie découvre aussi le Texan Stevie Ray Vaughan, guitariste prodige qui l'invite aussitôt à jouer sur Let's Dance, l'album qu'il enregistre avec Nile Rodgers de Chic.
David and I met at an after-hours club called the Continental. We talked about people like Little Richard, James Brown, and, you know, just old R&B in America and how it influenced all the rock people in England. And then we didn't talk about making a record together. We were just picking each other's brains, and we're in the Mutual Admiration Society. I probably told him how when I was a kid I wanted to be in his band and, you know, stuff like that, because it really was the truth. When I first heard Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, that's it. That's who I wanted to be with. I wanted to be the guitar player with Mick Ronson, and the original version of China Girl sounded anything but commercial. I thought it was the most peculiar thing I'd ever heard for a commercial record. And then I put in that little ding, 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 ding. My reasoning was, hey, David, where I come from, if you call a song China Girl, it better sound Asian or something. I mean, you know, so I put in this little guitar riff, and I was terrified, thinking he was going to say, I can't stand, that's disgusting. But he went, I like that. And I said, well, if you like that, listen to this. He was very quiet, very reserved, very intense, but in a quiet way, not imposing or demanding. And he also artistically gave me a lot of respect and freedom. So it was like the perfect marriage for me at that time. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
I saw these stars crashing down.
What I like about David, just as a fan, just looking at him and respecting him as an artist, is I like his sense of originality and his sense of poetry. And it's not just verbal poetry, it's also sonic poetry. It's the way that he can use words, the way that he can use...
At the moment, being with my son and waking up and feeling as though I've got a future as a person rather than just as a commodity or something.
Is that a change?
Very much so. It's developed slowly over the last 5 or 6 years, but it's very fulfilling to feel that. I didn't have very much regard for myself at all. Didn't have that much respect for myself. Because I've been living a pretty archetype rock and roll life up until 76, and that doesn't do any good for anybody.
It was something you created for yourself, though, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, sure. Yeah, I didn't read the script.
You can't put your finger on David. I mean, he's just abstract to me. Maybe that's why he's a singer, actor, stage actor, or whatever. He's got all of those elements just working there.
No one talks, no one thinks, and no one knows tonight,
Écrite en 77 avec Iggy Pop, la chanson Tonight, réenregistrée reggae, donne également son nom à l'album que sort Bowie en 84. Pour les fans, Bowie perd les pédales, c'est pas moi qui l'ai écrit. Il se produit néanmoins au Live Aid en 85 et enregistre avec Mick Jagger une reprise de Dancing in the Street.
That everybody, I think, for the only benefit concert I've ever been involved in at that level, the real excitement and sense of purpose was quite genuine with every artist that I worked with on it. There really was a feeling that you got to go and do it because it really is going to do some good.
Complètement largué, Bowie joue à cache-cache avec ses fans en leur donnant rendez-vous dans Absolute Beginners, le film de Julian Temple, mais aussi dans Labyrinthe, du créateur du Muppet Show.
Wait. Look, Sarah. Look what I'm offering you. Your dreams.
Avec son mélange de rock concerné et ses manières de grand spectacle de music hall, Never Let Me Down en 87 va insupporter la critique, dont on sait à quel point elle est vigilante et chatouilleuse.
In America, showing videos, I mean, how tough can you get anymore? I've been banned with a new video day in, day out, that NBC won't play it. Yeah. What? No, because she's wearing bra and panties.
Mais le vrai scandale en 1987, c'est l'annonce d'une gigantesque tournée mondiale sponsorisée par Pepsi, que la presse, qui préfère le coca, va s'acharner à ridiculiser. Pour surmonter le traumatisme, Bowie se rebranche avant-garde avec le chorégraphe canadien Edward Locke. Et 2 ans avant Nirvana, annonce le retour du punk avec son nouveau groupe Tin Machine.
For me, having a son of fast approaching school leaving age, he's 18 now, and if he doesn't go to university, he's going to have to go out and find a place in life. I can see the same fears and worries going through his head about how much of it he understands and exactly what is the purpose of daily life. It doesn't seem anymore to have any values that really mean a shit. You know, it's very hard for him to understand the structure because, in fact, I think the structure seems to be decaying rapidly.
All matter where you run your mind, that right in that bounded ground.
Réfugié sur l'île Moustique, Bowie ausculte désormais la rumeur du monde aux côtés du top modèle somalien Iman, qu'il épousera dans une église de Florence en 1993, non sans avoir tourné entre-temps dans 2 nouveaux films.
Philip, is that you? Philip? He's gone! He's gone! Albert, call the front desk!
He was here.
But where did he go?
On the other hand, this is the perfect opportunity for you to get to know me better.
Huh?
There you are. And here am I.
What the fuck are you doing? Oh, no.
Do you mind awfully if we go for breakfast a bit later on, Harry? I'm absolutely dead on my feet.
Iman n'est pas n'importe quelle femme, c'est quelqu'un qui est d'une intelligence redoutable.
So, we'll be getting married then? We wanted to have a kind of a ritualistic, romantic wedding. I say ritualistic because both of us are very spiritually oriented, but we're not religious. I really started thinking about why I was getting married. And at my age, 40, nearly 47, if it was something I truly wanted, and where I was going to go with it, and what I could do for her, and how I could be some kind of valuable contribution to a relationship, whether I wanted to have more children, if I was going to be a good enough father, what I could do to change my life. All these questions
to us. David was getting married at the time, so he had a concept that this album was going to be the music that they played at the wedding. So it had to follow a certain form and a certain format, and there were messages that he was trying to get across. So it was different for me because that was more like a regular job for me.
Like you said before, David, like a good blast. It should be pretty violent, right?
There's the word. Niall says violent, Lester.
That wasn't what I was accustomed to from David. I was accustomed to a more, you know, avant-garde, just shooting from the hip and just having a couple of lyrics and then turning that into something else and, you know, and that sort of thing. So it was a different experience, but it was still fun because David is fun. And I think he's like, as I said to him, I think he's the coolest guy in the world.
I don't think there's ever really been a time in the last 25 years making music and writing music that I haven't also painted it. If I have any kind of a problem with the context of something, or if I come to a block and I can't go forwards anymore, I'll often revert back to the other. Very sophisticated sense of analysis, but his conceptual abilities, when he brings those into a work situation, are really a help to the creative aspects of what you're doing. A small, mobile, highly intelligent unit in a tweed jacket.
Je ne pense pas que David Bowie se soit humanisé au fil des années. C'est quelqu'un qui a toujours été extrêmement humain. Pour un exemple personnel, c'est la façon absolument adorable dont David s'est toujours souvenu, même quand je l'avais oublié, de l'anniversaire de mon propre fils, par exemple. Un jour, j'étais en studio assez récemment, et il m'a rappelé que c'était l'anniversaire de mon fils dans 2-3 jours, et il m'a demandé s'il pouvait prendre un Polaroid de mon fils qu'il a fait, dont il a fait un croquis, un très joli croquis d'ailleurs que j'ai gardé chez moi, et dont mon fils est très fier. Mais quelle gentillesse de faire un geste comme ça.
He's great sex. Probably the young kids probably want to know about that. Yes, he was very acrobatic, and but also being the actor that he is, and I do think he's a fantastic actor and a fantastic painter. He convinced you for those few hours that he was all there emotionally too, boy. He was a good lover. He was a great lover, you know. He might have turned right like a dime and left the next minute, but when he was there all the way, you know.
If I had 3 words to describe David, I would say innovative, interesting, and cool. Definitely cool.
I think David combined a couple of traditions. You know, I think you got English music hall, married to rock and roll, and then also trying to put good lyrics to it, and you stir that around and bring in contemporary theatrical kind of things. And I think that you end up with David, because I think David's pulling on a couple of different sources. A strange guy. Smart, smart, smart. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Fly, fly, fly.
Des yeux profonds, perçants avec est-ce que c'est un rictus, est-ce que c'est un sourire, il y a ce côté peut-être un peu secret, les cheveux un peu fous. On retrouve un petit peu la coupe de cheveux d'Andy Warhol. Il a peint ce tableau à l'époque où il était en train de tourner le film de Basquiat et il jouait le rôle d'Andy Warhol.
That sounds good. That's new. $10. Oh, gee, it didn't work very much on these. I can give you like 5. Come on, Bruno, you're rich. Maybe you should talk to Bruno.
You don't even work on your stuff.
What are you doing? You're painting out everything I do. I can't even see what's good anymore. What have you been doing to yourself? What have you been doing to yourself? What have you been doing to yourself? 'Cause the last thing you should do